Greetings, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. Just want to share a few thoughts on a topic that touches all of our lives, and that is transition. Transition comes to everybody's life. There's a book that was written by author William Bridges called Transitions, Making Sense of Life's Changes. I read this book probably a couple decades ago, and every now and then I pull it off my shelf because it's just a great guide to navigating the emotions that come along with transition. Ann and I are in a season of transition now. A few months ago, we had an abrupt ending take place to our ministry position with an organization that we were at for 17 years. And many of the staff, basically, hundreds of staff actually, were affected by this and were thrust into transition. So we can't always choose when transition is going to happen to us. William Bridges says that things end. There's a time of fertile emptiness, and then things begin anew. So I want to help you today, hopefully encourage you today by sharing a few thoughts on how to navigate the endings, because transition really is a fracture in the continuity of our lives. Even good transition can be challenging, but especially the one that we didn't expect. The loss of a job, being bereaved, those are tough transitions to go through, especially. So 4 aspects of an ending experience. I'll just read them off here. Disengagement, disidentification, disenchantment, and disorientation. A disengagement means I'm no longer engaged in what I was doing. I'm disengaged. This happens in many, many ways. Think, for example, of Jesus, living a normal life for 30 years with his family, and then that ended, and he was called to the wilderness for 40 days, and then that ended. Then he began 3.5 years of ministry, a new beginning. Then, of course, we know his story pretty well. There was an ending to that ministry because there was the cross, and then the resurrection, and now he's at the right hand of the Father, and his ministry is ongoing as he's interceding for us and leading us as his body here on the earth, right? So he went through that transition. Even the incarnation was a massive transition, coming from heaven, coming from glory, laying aside his divine attributes, becoming a man. Jesus knows transition. He knows disengagement. Okay, he knows it very well. Then there's disidentification, and this is basically where how you defined yourself is no longer applicable. Something has changed. Again, it could be something tragic that happens, could be a job change, many, many types of disidentification where you just don't know who you are anymore. And whenever I've gone through seasons like this, the Lord's always brought me back to, okay, Mike, here's your real identity. You're my son. And let's talk about the Abba relationship. Let's talk about, your adoption as a son of God and who I am to you. And so I get renewed in my true identity, who I am in Christ. But disidentification is tough. It's not easy to navigate because we have to get accustomed to the transition. That's a part of it. Disenchantment, another tough aspect of endings. And again, this could be partially due to the fact that in our Western culture, we just see transition and growth, spiritual formation. It's all like an additive process. We just keep adding on to the good things and growing, and becoming who we're supposed to be, right? But sometimes there's loss in life that we have to navigate. So if you have a few transitions under your belt, you know exactly what I'm saying. It's not just adding on like a clean addition. Sometimes there's a great loss involved in transition. And disenchantment has many layers to it. It could be something really, really painful, like a spouse that you thought you knew, a best friend that you thought you knew, an organization that betrayed you, Lots and lots of ramifications here to disenchantment, and even being disappointed in yourself, where you were not the person you thought you were because how you responded to a situation, your attitudes or your thought life or just how you're carrying yourself. You could be disappointed in you, disenchanted with yourself. And the ultimate danger there is that you give up hope on yourself, and please don't do that if you're struggling with that. Then there's disorientation, and this kind of like is the last three all combined and swirling like a hurricane, that disengaged, disidentified, disenchanted, disoriented. I'm in a swirl. I feel lost. I feel confused. I'm just not sure what's going on. Another quote from William Bridges. He says, "Disorientation is meaningful, but it isn't enjoyable. It is a time of confusion and emptiness when ordinary things have an unreal quality about them. Things that used to be important don't seem to matter much now. We feel stuck, dead, lost in some great, dark, non-world." Wow. Lost in some great, dark, non-world. Just really, really feeling empty, disoriented. I've been there. I've been following Jesus for just about 50 years now. Best decision I ever made as a 21-year-old was to follow Christ. No regrets there. But even as a Christ follower, you go through just seasons of great trial, transition, the in-between seasons, waiting on God, pressing through, growing through the trials, right? And God gives us grace to do that. And sometimes I've felt basically stuck or dead or bored in the in-between seasons. It's a challenge sometimes. And I was reminded of the beggar that was at the gate. Peter and John encountered him. Of course, he was lame from birth. He gets miraculously healed, and he's walking and he's celebrating. And Peter says to those that were in the crowd, he said, "But you killed the Prince of Life, the author of life," referring to Jesus. You killed the author of life, but God raised him from the dead. But even though they killed the sacrificial lamb, did they really take his life away? Sometimes we may feel dead. We may feel like it's over. And I want to encourage you that Jesus knows how you feel in those times. Hebrews 4:15, "We do not have a high priest who's unable to sympathize and understand our weaknesses and temptations, but one who has been tempted, knowing exactly how it feels to be human in every respect as we are." He knows what you're going through. He knows what I'm going through. So in the in-between seasons, we're deep in the transitional phase of our life. Our focus is blurred. We have to somehow strive with every ounce of vision we possess to look unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. And so the author of life, the Prince of Life, he was crucified, he was buried, his human life tasted death, but his storyline, the Father's script for his life, continued on its course. So I want to declare this truth over your life, over my life today. My life will never be without a story, for the author lives in me. My life will never be without a story, for the author lives in me. Let me pray for you right now. Father, I pray for every person hearing my voice right now. Whatever the transition that they've been in or are in now, maybe even struggling through now, I pray for your grace. I pray for your strength. I pray for your peace, your power, just to encounter their hearts today. Encourage us, Lord. Give us hope. You are the author of life. You live inside of us, and you are working all things together for our good. If you need someone to talk to, someone to pray with you, Our email address is on the screen. Feel free to reach out. God bless you today.